Today we have something pretty special for you guys. Please welcome Scare Me and HenriTales. Welcome back to Scare Me, and Henry, thank you for joining us today with your talented narrator. All their information will be listed below, so give them a chance and a listen. And if you like them, please check out their channel. And if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to me as well. Let's grow this community. Without further hesitation, let's begin. First time posting here. I had an event transpire last night that is still a small paragraph in the story of my haunted house. To understand the story, it helps to understand the history of the property. Before my house was a house, it was a VFW club. To those that are unaware, it was a bar and clubhouse for veterans of foreign wars. The house is over 120 years old, and many people have passed through the doors over the decades. It seems likely that many tortured souls spent time here. There were probably soldiers, people that have done horrible things while fighting in our wars. And for context, I live in the USA, by the way. Some of my elderly neighbors talk to me about my house and its history when I'm out walking my dog. Some of them even drank there. Paranormal experiences are a pretty common thing in this place, but this one is the most recent, and it happened last night around 11:30. I was laying in bed with my two cats. They were sleeping together at the end of the bed, and I was watching a movie on my tablet. The lights were on, so darkness did not obscure my vision. Here is when things get interesting. In a split second, both cats jolted themselves awake and began to fix their eyes on the doorway to the bathroom. I stopped my movie and tried to listen and observe. Keep in mind, both cats' eyes are perfectly fixed on the doorway, with a gaze fixed on a central point in the middle upper height of the doorway. I found this strange, as there wasn't a sound to be heard. My first thought is they were tracking a fly or a bug. It is winter and cold right now, and I don't think I've seen a bug in months. That is because no bug was there. My vision is unusually good, and the lights were on. Nothing was there, at least nothing I could see. At this point, I'm really trying to figure out what the hell these two cats are looking at. They began to turn their heads horizontally, as if someone was walking out of the bathroom and towards the foot of my bed. While this was happening, their heads and eyes moved in sync with each other, as if the two cats' bodies were attached by gears. I knew it wasn't a fly at this point for certain. Anyone with a cat knows how a cat will move when trying to hunt a fly. They will look up, down, and in circles as it buzzes across the room. With their vision at the foot of the bed, they started to look up at me, as if someone was walking up towards me. My hair began to rise on the back of my neck. The pins and needles radiate down my spine and into my arms. All of my senses began to hyperfocus. Yep, no bug, no buzzing sound, but something is clearly there. I can sense a presence of someone there, breathing. The air is cold and feels heavy. At or around this time, I realize I'm having a visit from one of the house's many ghosts. I used to be much more scared of these kinds of occurrences, but now I just kind of accept it. If I get around to it, I'll post more stories. Anyway, wide-eyed, the cats are staring at something right next to me, in perfect synchronization. Their eyes slowly moved up, staring directly over my chest, where I was laying. I can sense someone standing over me, looking down on me. This really freaked me out. Loudly and out of reflex, I yell, "What the hell?" For no reason, and without any input, the Alexa on my tablet said,
"Would you like to hear something paranormal?"
Please remember, this is still real life. There is no embellishment. There was no reason for my tablet to do this. It was also loud. Really loud. I'm very spooked at this point. However, now I realize that this thing, spirit, or whatever it is trying to communicate with me. I didn't ask for Alexa, nor did I mention any keywords like ghost, haunting, etc. out loud. I reply, "No, thanks." The air in my room lifted, the cat settled back down, and I tried to get some sleep. I got a little. In summary, 2 of my cats saw something I couldn't. Whatever it was walked out of the bathroom, passed the foot of my bed, made a 90-degree turn, and stood over me. Then, it tried to talk to me through my tablet. Also, I am of sound mental health, by today's standards anyway. I'm not even religious. I don't screw around with Ouija boards and light candles. The act of writing this post helped me mentally process what happened, but this will probably be something I will remember for the rest of my life.
The last 2 days have gotten crazy. For the past 2 years, there's been a tapping sound coming from my bedroom window. It started one Halloween night. I know, this sounds like a bad horror movie. And about a few times a month, sometimes more often, something taps at my window. There's nothing around to hit the window, and it sounds exactly like a finger tapping the glass. Me and my siblings are used to it. A few days ago, my brother started complaining that something was communicating to him from outside the den's window. Keep in mind, we live in an apartment complex, so we always have the blinds closed. He says that whatever it was just kept saying hello to him in a robotic, high-pitched voice. The rest of our family just shrugged it off. The day after, we go outside and there are small tracks leading up to all of our windows. I don't know what animal could have made those tracks because I think it's bipedal. Later that day, I was laying in my bedroom next to my window with the blinds closed, and I jump out of my skin. Someone's loudly banging against the glass, but I ignore it. I just assume it's one of my siblings sneaking up on me. And then I find out that they were both together at that moment in the house while it happened. They hadn't been out for hours. The next night, my brother complained about the voice outside his window again, and we told him to ignore it. If it is something supernatural, we don't want to mess with it. Yesterday, while we were all preparing for dinner, my entire family and I heard the creature screaming outside. I was too shocked to move, to grab my phone and record it. It kept yelling, "Hello, come out," exactly how my brother had described. It was so loud, we could hear it clearly from our kitchen and dining room. We didn't want to look outside. This morning, more snow had fallen, but fresh prints were there. I was able to take pictures before they melted. I don't know what to make of any of this, but it's impossible for this to just be a prank because of the lack of human prints in the snow. I'm going to keep my phone on me tonight so that I can record the creature talking if it comes by again. I'm pretty sure it will. I live in northeastern Ohio. If anyone has any information on what this is or a similar experience, please let me know. I just posted this in r/paranormal, but I'm posting here as well for more answers.
About 8 years ago when I was 13, I was up till 3 AM playing Xbox online, as you do. I remember feeling peckish and wanted some late night cereal, so I finished my game and went to grab some munch. I turned on the hall lights and checked on my little brother, 9 at the time, and my little sister, who was 5 at the time. Being the oldest sibling, it was just something I'd do. They were both fast asleep. As I got to the top of the staircase, I started to hear a little girl talking to herself. It completely creeped me out, but I thought maybe it was my sister sleep talking. But then it was more clear, and I could really hear the sound of this girl's voice, and it was not my sister. I heard the voice coming from down the stairs, and I got this horrible, sickening feeling inside my stomach. I got on my knees on top of the staircase and put my head down the stairs to hear the voice clearer, which then I figured the voice was coming from the kitchen. Maybe she sensed I was there after that, because when I tried to hear it clearer, she laughed and then I heard footsteps run off. I absolutely shit myself and ran into my mum and dad's room, telling them what had happened, to which they both just told me to go back to bed. Needless to say, I did not get that bowl of cereal or sleep much that night. It was only a few weeks ago, now that I'm 21, that my mum has told me about the little girl who lives in our house. She says she feels her presence every now and then, mainly at the bottom of the stairs, which makes sense as our 2 dogs now, and our old dog used to stare up the staircase at nothing, and sometimes bark like crazy. To this day when I watch TV, I sometimes feel her looking at me from the stairs, although I haven't heard anything quite like I did when I was younger.
So, I've always had incredibly weird paranormal experiences throughout my life. But this one tops the charts. It unnerves me to this day. I moved to Texas, but had to fly to Utah to pick up my car. It's February 2020, and I leave Utah at approximately 6 p.m. with a friend who flew with me. We decided we'd spend the night in Albuquerque, New Mexico, so we could get some sleep, and we'd arrive there around 4 a.m. So we're driving. Things are fine. You have to pass through a reservation to get to the main highway for Albuquerque. And something felt off from the second we entered New Mexico. It's maybe 2 or 3 a.m. at this point, and my friend was fast asleep with her head against the window while I played the music loudly. We had to drive slowly as the speed limit was only 35 to 45 miles per hour. As we got further into the reservation, I heard a sharp knock on the roof of my car. It was hard enough to be clearly heard over the music. My friend was startled awake and asked what happened. I shrugged because I didn't want to stop. This might have been intuition, but I'd rather have rock damage or drive on a flat tire or anything else than stop on that road. It was dark and something just felt wrong. I had really absurdly bright LED headlights on my car, and as such, I could see a few miles ahead of where my car was going. My friend was watching the road, and I slowed down to get a better look while I was still a good distance away. What I saw freaks me out to this day. The best way I could describe it was a body of a human, half contorted downward. The hair in the head was upside down, and its arms were like large stalactite-looking things. That thing was so dark that my headlights couldn't even penetrate it. However, it illuminated everything around it. Its face wasn't looking at us originally, but it twisted its head around to look at us. It didn't have facial features, but it looked distorted, like it had a broken jaw or something, and it was almost blurry. I pride myself on my photographic memory, but it was like it didn't want me to see it. At this point, we're no more than 50 to 75 feet away, and I step on it. My friend asked if I saw that, and I nodded my head. I didn't even want to talk, if I was being honest. I didn't want to breathe. I was shaking so badly. It felt ominous, evil. I can't even begin to explain in full detail the fear I felt. It was like it penetrated my bones. It was a primal instinct to run, and run as fast as I could away from it. I told her not to look back. We don't want it to follow us. I swear, I drove a solid 120 miles per hour until I got off the reservation. We didn't end up stopping in Albuquerque. I drove all the way to Lubbock instead, and we spent the night there. My work asked for paranormal stories, and I told this. A coworker mentioned putting it on here because she thinks you all will like it. I can also attempt drawing it, but I feel like if I do that, I might give it the ability to find me, or even power to do whatever it is that it's doing. So if anyone has any advice on that, let me know. I don't want to encourage it. Anyway, that's one of my stories. Added. I reached out to that friend of mine, and it turns out they were awake that entire time. They just had their head resting against the window. Whoops.
When I was 6 or 7, we moved out to a ranch on the countryside of Laredo, Texas. Not a lot of people with good income lived here. Most houses were isolated and surrounded by woods. My mom and stepdad decided to rent this house because rent was cheap, only $350 a month, no indoor plumbing or central air. A lot of low-income families lived out here. There was a family that lived next to us, a family of 6 kids, all girls and 2 adults. They were also low income and often didn't have much to eat. My mom would often help them out with food, and in return, the kids would come over to help my mom clean the house. This one day, they came over, ate dinner with us, helped my mom clean, and me, the youngest girl that was about my age, fell asleep on my bed. After a while, my mom woke us up because it was getting late, and she needed to go home. Her sisters had left her behind because they didn't want to wake her. It was a good walk to her home, as there was a dirt road leading to our house to get to hers. My mom was going to send my brother to walk her, but I butted in and said, "Please, can I walk her?" As we were friends. My mom said yes, so I then walked her to the gate, and we departed. I started on my way home, when out of nowhere she comes running behind me, crying, throws herself at me, and pulls me down by the shoulders. I ask her, "What's wrong?" "What happened?" She points up and says, "Look up there. Look." She was pointing up at the top of some abandoned train cars, and what I saw till this day, I cannot explain. There were 3 skeletons walking back and forth. One was lying on its side and had clothes on, like a tank top and shorts. The other 2 were standing up, just walking back and forth behind that one, stopping and waving. We looked at each other and ran to my house. I quickly told my mom what we saw. My mom and 2 brothers plus us went back to look at them. They were still there, waving at us. We threw rocks at them, but the rocks didn't faze them. Either that, or we were just bad at aiming. After a while, we went home and never saw them again. Till this day, I can't seem to understand or be able to explain how those skeletons were moving. Some will probably say that we were hallucinating, but how can 5 people see the same thing? Some have said that it was Halloween props, but no, it was the 90s, and I've never seen any Halloween props that moved that well during that time. Halloween props like that cost a lot of money, and that family couldn't even afford to eat. We were in a dirt poor part of the country. Now I'm glad I don't have Alexa listening to everything I say. Thank you, Scare Me, and thank you, HenriTales and your amazing narrator for joining us today. If you enjoyed their reading styles, please check them out and show them some love. Let's get this community to a point where it was in the past. I know we can do it. Anyway, stay safe out there. This freaked me out, loudly, and out of reflex I yell, "What the f***?" Don't know if I can say that anymore on YouTube.